Hello guys, sorry about the technical problem with the other video. It cut at like 34:54 while we were doing Dog Soldiers, and I have no idea why I did that, but we're going to continue on with this video. So in that one, you're going to see part one, and this one is going to be part two, but it kind of works out better this way because I get to add more. So Dog Soldiers, if you didn't know, that's what is at the end of the last one, which I'm probably just going to have to show you this one because I don't know if you're just watching this one. So hold on one second. All right, we're talking about this movie right here, Dog Soldiers. Dog Soldiers is what we're talking about. Actually one of the best werewolf movies I've ever seen in my entire life, literally hands down. So first off, Dog Soldiers has a lot going for it in the horror category because most werewolf movies are literally just that. It's people running out there and wolfing out, and it barely has a plot. Dog Soldiers is the exception that disproves the rule because it is absolutely amazing. I love the story. I love how it goes from a group of military mercenary guys being thrown into a secret project that they have no idea they're being thrown into, but they're told it is like a war game or something like that, only to find out that they've been dumped into a colony of werewolves. And here's the thing. Normal werewolves, they wolf out at night with the moonlight, so you know you're safe during the day. There's a safety measure during the day. When you're first exposed to these werewolves, they wolf out during the day with no moon. That's right. You're effed either way. So, no moon, broad daylight, werewolves that big, razor sharp claws, you're fucked. Absolutely. Now, the crazy part is you're just like, well, that seems weird. No, because if you all go back to The Howling, when they was in my man's house in the woods, he had turned into a werewolf and it was daylight as well. So the lunar cycle only holds sway in certain movies and certain lore. So even in, there's another werewolf movie that I'll probably put in here later on, where a guy is hoping that his sister's love and her child can save him from turning into a werewolf because he got bit when he was on assignment somewhere. And he pretty much tells her, like, yeah, pretty much any night will do it. Like, you don't have to wait till a full moon. Like, maybe some werewolves change at only a full moon. But in my experience, you know, any night will do it. So this is daytime. And it hits in the beginning. And their slashes are not like what you've seen in werewolf movies. Like I said, it's more along the lines of American Werewolf in London, Silver Bullet, The Howling, and Wolfen. When they slash you, you see viscera. Like, if you wonder what claws would literally do with that much strength and ferocity into human flesh, look no further. Dog Soldiers will show you in spades what that looks like. The practical effects, the creature process, and the splatter and the viscera that they create is amazingly realistic for a shoestring budget. And that is insane, because you came for a campy werewolf movie, and what you find is a frightening, actually really good werewolf tale that you have to tell somebody about. No joke. First time I watched this, I was expecting a weak-ass werewolf movie. 15 to 20 minutes of this movie, I was like, I didn't sign on for this. Like, I was watching this at night, and I'm like, yo, this is a little bit more terrifying than I was expecting to jump into. Like, I expected werewolves, but I didn't expect this level of damn. And 30 minutes into it, I'm like, this shit's gonna give me nightmares. I'm not sleeping at night. I'm gonna be up all night playing games. It's just gonna give me nightmares. And as the movie goes forward, there is so much craziness that you just realize they're screwed. The next town, werewolves. The next place, werewolves. We decided to come to this house because it was the closest house to us. This is where they live. You're in their house. Now this is crazy because as the bodies start hitting the floor, it don't matter where you at, upstairs, downstairs. I love the fact that these guys are real. They personify real soldiers. Like when your back is against the wall and your nuts is in your mouth and you can't do nothing, these guys nut up or shut up. There is a scene where a guy in the kitchen takes on one of these things with a pot, a pan, a little knife, and like he literally has a go of it. He knows he can't win. He knows he's not gonna win. But if I'm going down, I'm going down swinging. And that to me is awesome because so soon are you seeing these movies, people run and they get scared and then they're crying and they're huddled up and they're hoping for somebody to save them. Very rarely do you see people capable enough to go back at these things. And that's what this team does. It goes back at them. Now, spoiler alert, nobody survives but one person to daylight. Drops the whole team. And the twist is the woman that found them in the woods and picked them up. There's a scene at the end where they're literally enveloping the house and they're storming and surging and sieging the house, that she tells them, I was kind of hoping, that you guys were able to save me. But now it's too late and I'm out of time. It's that time of the month. And you realize what she's saying. They didn't get in and been getting in. She's been letting them in. Surprise. She's one of them. She turns around and wolfs out. And then you're just like, my hope for a happy ending is gone. But it's not. Fear not. Fear not. The Major, the toughest one of them all, he goes at it. He ends up in the basement, which is a lot like Resident Evil Village when you're fighting the Lycans, how you end up in that basement with the people and the stuff. It's exactly like that. That's the reason why Resident Evil Village resonates with Resident Evil 8 Village resonates with me so much, is because in the beginning chapters, when you're fighting the Lycans, the werewolves, that scene where you're in the house and you go into the basement is directly from Dog Soldiers. Like, I always wondered how I would feel and fare in that situation. And in Resident Evil, it puts you exactly in that situation. Which is why, as a gamer, most of these experiences resonate different with me. Because not only can I see these, but I've been there. I actually felt like I've been in that part in this movie because I was in the basement when they bite off half of your fingers and slash at you, and you look up and they're coming at you from every different direction, and you have almost no ammo, and Ethan is getting it from the left and the right, and they picking you up and snacking on your neck piece. It is a horrific situation. Well, Dog Soldiers is the visual of that. So if you ever played Resident Evil 8 and you went through the Lycan missions in the beginning, watch Dog Soldiers. Because verbatim, there's parts of that where it's like, this feels, when they're in the woods and the werewolves and everything, I was like, this, what the hell? Like, yeah, it's an immersive experience. But Resident Evil 8 and Dog Soldiers, they go hand to hand. The end of the movie, one person survives. But the problem is you don't know how far this colony has gone. Which means you could literally drive to the next town and they're all them too. Which means it leaves an ambiguous opening ending because he found one piece of silver in the house, which they didn't know they had, and I don't know why werewolves would have silver in the house, but maybe they couldn't touch it, so they kicked it down the stairs and it ended up making its way down there because they can't hold it because it's silver. It could be. They could have wrapped something around it and thrown it outside or something, but I guess they forgot about it. Anyway, that piece of silver ends up helping him. He ends up blowing up the house and the rest of the ones in there, and he makes it out, and he's pretty much Arnold Schwarzenegger at the end of Predator 1. He's done. He has no fight left in him, but he doesn't have a choice because there's no vehicles, no cars, and he has to make it out of here, and there's no telling if all of them are done, if he's gotten all of them. So it leaves you at that cliffhanger of an ending, but I'm glad he made it that far. Dog Soldiers to me is better than any right than it had business being, and it's amazing. It's definitely on my list of favorite werewolf movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It's definitely on the list. So if you're having a party and you're doing a werewolf marathon or you want to watch a good werewolf movie, Dog Soldiers has to be in the contention. Ladies and gentlemen, Dog Soldiers. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, next up on my list is one of my great favorites. It's an all-time blast. It's to split people over whether or not it's frightening, but as it comes to werewolf movies, I found it absolutely terrifying. Partly in the fact that Corey Haim sold why it's so terrifying. I'll talk about the scene later, but we're talking about none other than Stephen King's Silver Bullet, based off of Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King, a book. Stephen King stuff is either hit or miss with me, but with Silver Bullet, it's definitely on my list as one of my most awesome werewolf movies. Absolutely. So, ladies and jelly spoons, Stephen King's Silver Bullet. The first time I saw this movie, it gave me nightmares and it was terrifying for a bunch of different reasons. He's very good at creating environmental emotions. When the movie starts, the musical score, which I said before in the Vampires video, the music is also a character in these movies. It plays one of the biggest characters in these movies. The scheme, the eerie sounds, the unnerving tones, they set the environment. They set the whole pace of scenes in good movies. Now, when Silver Bullet starts, we're not quite sure what happens on the train tracks, but if you're watching Silver Bullet, chances are you know you're in for a werewolf movie. So let's just take that off the table. We know it's a werewolf. But this spin and twist in werewolfism is insane to me, because Stephen King is a master of horror for a reason. There is one scene earlier on in this movie that I just can't get behind. There is a woman, and she is with child, and she is stressing over the whole thing, so much to the point that she wants to unalive herself. And the werewolf kill comes, and there's the mother downstairs in the living room as a perfect target. And I don't know why he didn't go for her. I know why later, but I didn't know why he goes for her. So this werewolf, in werewolf state, climbs up to the second floor to slaughter her, not the mom, and then leaves. And I'm like, so he chose her over the mom. He could have done them both, but he chose her over the mom because she wanted to go. It's a very moral thing to do for a werewolf. That plays something coming forward down the pike. So, as people begin to disappear in this town, this small town, they start putting in curfews. They start looking into the fact that maybe somebody's doing this. Somebody is attacking people because they found a few body parts not all together. And it's insane. Corey Haim's best friend ends up going missing. I hate saying this. Look, I played the Corey Werewolf game. Great game, by the way. Go watch my gameplay on the Game Ninja channel if you want to see it. It's an awesome game. But in my game, in my gameplay, while I fared against the werewolves in the camp scenario, I let the assholes die. Look, in situations where life and death are depending on moment to moment, assholes will get you killed all the time. Now, I know there can be some that have redeeming qualities and they can redeem themselves, but for the most part, a-holes, they're always going to be X'd out. That's just the way it goes. So in Silver Bullet, his friend, Corey Haim's friend, he's an a-hole. What he does to Corey Haim's sister, the laughing, the other stuff that he does, and then he knows people have been disappearing and dying in this town, and he wants to fly a kite And they're like, look, it's time to go. We going home. I will in a little bit. I just want to finish flying my kite. You know people are dying, right? But the kite flying. They can't wait till tomorrow. You just got to be out here by yourself flying a kite. Fuck around to find out. Which he did. Hey, you chose it. You was out there, son. If he was at home, had better chances. Now that I think about it, when he went to the house where the girl was, she was at home. Actually, he taxed a lot of people in their home, so I guess it don't matter if you out in the open or in your home. He gonna get you if he wants to. So the night of the big fireworks event happens, and his uncle Red, played by Gary Busey, beautifully played. I love Gary Busey in this movie. He buys him a souped up motorcycle wheelchair because Corey Haim can't walk, which is funny. He told his sister, the mom, it only goes so fast, don't worry about it, he's fine. And then, because it's the 4th of July, he gave him fireworks. Not to shoot off at the house, because he doesn't want the mom to go crazy, but go down the road a bit and shoot off some fireworks and have fun. Now, on one hand, this is a great moment for this kid. He's got a new motorcycle wheelchair that can go faster than most cars. That's pretty dangerous by itself, Uncle Red. And then he gives him fireworks to go down to the road where he's pretty sure he's going to be by himself, alone in a neighborhood where people are dropping and dead and going. Not very good, Uncle Red. I love you, but not very good. So, of course, Corey Haim takes his wheelchair, his new wheelchair, out for a spin, goes to the woods to let off some fireworks. And while he's shooting off fireworks, the werewolf finds him because he follows the fireworks right to him, which, that wasn't a good idea. Sorry, Uncle Red. Not a great idea. So as he comes onto the bridge, the kid sees him, lights up a bottle rocket, and shoots him in the eye. Perfect aim. First try, perfect aim. I've shot many bottle rockets in my life. If I was holding it in my hand, it would not have hit the eye. It would have went around him, into the lake, underneath him. It may have hit him in the chest and bounced off. It would not have caught the eye. He's a marksman for that one. He takes off in his wheelchair, flying down a road at Mach 5. He makes it back to his house. He climbs up the ladder, pulls himself into his bed, and he's breathing heavy, and he's scared that this thing is going to come and get him. Not scared enough to close the window. It's my only pet peeve in this movie. It's the only takeaway. He did not close the window. If you're that scared of a werewolf coming to eat your ass like taco meat, you're going to close that window, put a bed up against that window. You're going to barricade yourself in. Then again, who's going to believe you? But I definitely would have barricaded myself in. I'm not going to make it easy for him. I mean, he could probably make it through, but I'm not going to make it easy. So he wakes up the next morning and he tells his sister, who he hates and hates him, but at the end of the day, they love each other. And it's how he describes it that she believes him. Once again, we come back to this point that I've been making for 3 videos straight. The vampires video, the first part of the werewolf video, and now the second part of the werewolf video. You don't have to believe what they believe. But if you believe in them, you know they're not a liar. You know they're genuine. You see their emotion behind it. You don't have to believe what they believe, but you do have to believe in them. And she believes in Marty, her brother. And they begin to look around for this wolf because he shot him in the eye. Now, most werewolf movies, people just heal instantly from wounds. I'm so glad they didn't do it in this movie because as they're going around town collecting cans and looking at people's eyes, they're looking for the person with the eye wound. He's the werewolf. But wouldn't you know it, ladies and gentlemen, as they're going around, the local reverend shows up with an eye patch. That's right. The savior of the town. The man leading people to worship. The least expected but most creepy looking guy in town. Reverend Lowe. He is the werewolf. So they cock up a great idea that we're going to send him letters telling him to unalive himself and that we know who you are. You know, poke the bear. He didn't come to kill you that night. He hasn't come to kill you in a few nights. But you're going to poke the bear. You're going to poke the bear because, I don't know, what would you expect kids to do? What would you expect kids to do? Parents aren't going to believe him. People are not going to believe him. What What do you expect him to do? Like Uncle Red said, the local kids were sending out letters to tell him eat a rat poison omelet or gargle with broken glass. So he kind of gets it. So Reverend Lowe now is pissed at Marty. And he finds him one day on the roadway and he tries to run him off the road. Then he tries to wolf out and kill him. But Mr. Butterman or Futterman and the farm happen to be plowing his grass at the time. And he comes in and Marty's safe. But now Marty knows that he knows he's the werewolf. The werewolf knows he knows. They all know. And the first full moon is coming up. And he knows shit's going down. So what do? They tell Uncle Red. Uncle Red doesn't believe him. He thinks it's crazy. He thinks it's stupid. But he goes along with his nephew to, I guess, comfort him. Uncle Red he's bodied for this. He's a great role for this because the mother wouldn't have done any of it. But Uncle Red, he goes along with them. They take their chains and use the content and they go to the local gunsmith who makes them a silver bullet. Roll credits. That's the name of the movie, Silver Bullet. So as Red is talking to the gunsmith, he said, I think this is the best piece of work I've ever made in my life. It's got a low grain load so it won't tumble. Ought to be pretty accurate. And Uncle Red, Gary Busey, says, well, what the hell would you shoot something with that bullet? And the guy behind the counter says, how about a werewolf? Yeah. No surprise. No joking. He's 100% on board that what he just made is for a werewolf. And he takes the bullet and he goes and he sends his sister out of town. Said he won something. He sent them out of town so that this full moon, when it goes down, they're not going to be there. They're going to be out of Dodge. Which on one point is good because it has to come to a confrontation because the Reverend can come for him anytime. And he can do it both in human form, like he tried to run him off the road, or he can come at him as a wolf. But it just so happens that they stay up to 1 or 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and they fall asleep downstairs. And he tells them to go to bed. He thinks he's going crazy. He burnt himself with a cigarette. The gun almost went off. So they told him it's only one bullet. We only have one shot at this. And he tells them, just go to bed. You're crazy. I'll have my head examined. Like he's now starting to come to realization that this is not real. He fell for it a little bit, but he's not real. And it's at that point, the sister sees Reverend Lowe as a werewolf looking through the window, which she screams. He holds onto the bullet that's not in the gun because he took it out because he doesn't believe. And he's just like, don't panic. I think, and then the lights go out. The electric goes out. And then he was like, well, maybe it's a fuse, Marty. And he's like, no, it's him. He's here. And he's like, well, I'm going to go investigate. And then the walls start rattling. The floors start rattling. He hears a growl. And then Reverend Lowe busts through the wall from the window to the wall. He hops in and the shit is on. Now, this is the crazy part. You got a kid in a wheelchair. You got his sister. You got Uncle Red with the gun and the bullet. So, of course, Red, who forgot he unloaded the gun, he points the empty gun at the werewolf, who smacks it out of hand and throws him across the room. Drops the gun, bullet goes flying. Now it's on. But his attention right now is on Uncle Red and not Marty. Fatal flaw. If he would have just went for Marty, game over, movie over, horrible ending. No, there's redemption in this. He goes after Red. He throws him through the wall, body slams him, hit him to people's elbow. He's fucking up Red pretty bad. It's at this point that Marty crawls out of his wheelchair, goes over to the vent where the bullet has fell down, and he's reaching down there for the bullet. His sister, she's got his back. She grabs the gun. He gets the bullet. They put the bullet in the chamber. The Reverend Lowe werewolf walks over to him. Boom! He's shot in the other eye. This kid has aim. He has perfect aim. First, he hit him with the bottle rocket to the left eye. Now he shot him a bullet to the right eye. This kid, he needs to go into a marksmanship tournament. This kid is amazing. So as he shoots him, he falls back and hits the wall. Uncle Red now believes that there is a werewolf. because he just fought him and got his ass whooped. And they're looking at this werewolf in the corner, and the hair starts receding and shrinking into the body. Beautiful transformation, by the way. And as all the hair sucks back, you see a nude Reverend Lowe with 2 missing eye sockets. And they hold each other, and of course he jumps up for one more scare, which almost made me pee myself several times when I watched this, because for some reason I always end up watching these stupid movies on the cusp of the sun going down. So it's always night when I'm watching these things or playing these horror games, which I don't like horror. I don't like being in horror. I don't like being afraid, but I always end up putting myself in these situations. I bitched out in so many games and screamed, and I played an alien game and people laughed that I screamed like a bitch. Like, look, I get it. I understand. But I'm also thinking, main focus when you do these things. So Silver Bullet, from start to finish, is a terrifying, horrific tale. And they never explain how the Reverend became a werewolf. They never explain what happened from point A to point B. It just is. And the body count is high. The Reverend takes out a lot of people in this town. And I would have loved there to have been a sequel to this that went into tale, or a prequel that went into tale over what happened to Reverend Lowe. How did he become this way? And has he always been this way, or is it something in his family line that just happened? Because he's been in this town for quite a while. So I figured he wasn't always a werewolf, or maybe he just was and we didn't know. But he didn't start knocking off people in the town until the movie started, which means it had to be something that suddenly happened, and we're never told. We're never told what happens. We never see what happens, and I kind of like that intrigue. But ladies and gentlemen, the werewolf movie you definitely need to see in your movie watch list this Halloween, Silver Bullet with a bang. Ladies and jelly spoons, next up on my list, and you'll see a trend developing with these types of werewolf. These tall, big-eared, big-faced, Boku, long-fingered, scary werewolves is insanity to me. Next up is a movie that I found on HBO years and years and years ago, and I did not know what I was in for when I watched it, but during the first 10 minutes of this movie, I literally, and once again, I was watching it at night. It's written exceptionally well. It's straightforward. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mariel Hemingway, Michael Pear, and Mason Gamble in Bad Moon. Bad Moon is next up on our list. All right, ladies and jelly spoons, when it comes to Bad Moon, this movie, while it may not have the most mind-blowing werewolf transformation scene, when he's wolfed out, they used both practical machine and person for this werewolf. The sheer size, ferocity, and look. You'll notice the movies that really terrify me werewolf-wise is based off the look of the werewolf. Once again, this is not your Twilight. This is not your average new... See, modern werewolf movies just have big dogs running around biting people. That's not a werewolf. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still terrifying. Being attacked by a dog is terrifying. But in this movie, the first 10 minutes of this movie start off with a guy and a girl. They're on like an expedition. Everything else is going good. They decide, the sun goes down. They decide to go back to the tent and get it in. And I'm like, oh, wow, nipples and nudity in the first 10 minutes. This is pretty cool. And one of the cruelest tricks is when it comes to horror movies, especially good ones, sex rarely ends in pleasure. It always ends in death, dismemberment, and horror. And this movie is no different. As they're getting it in, and I'm like, oh, nudity, this look pretty good. What's going on down there? The tent is slashed up. The girl is yanked off of him out into the woods, I guess. The guy gets his stuff together. He goes to try to find a gun, and you see the wolf biting into the girl and slashing into her. It looks incredibly painful. You can hear her screams. And then, in a move that I've never seen in a werewolf movie ever, he holds her up, takes his hand, and swats her down. Like, I mean, like, so freaking hard. You hear the splat. He swats her down. Like, the power in that move, I've probably only seen in wrestling matches. And the guy blows off the werewolf's head, and then you have credits, and the movie has begun. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm in for it now. This is a real werewolf movie. I didn't sign up for this. Once again, I like diving into movies, especially when I hear about werewolves, but very rarely in the last 20 to 25 years, there's nothing scary anymore. They've forgotten how to make werewolf movies, and it's insanity to me. Because the latest one with Frank Grillo, Werewolves, first of all, I don't like Frank Grillo. He is a very grumbly. I didn't like him in anything. I don't like him in Peacemaker. I did not like him in The Purge. He just is a very grumbly, rough, like, I can't explain. He has veins in his forehead and his eyes, like, that stick out. You know, most people have veins on their arms. Like, what kind of weights are you lifting where there's veins on your eyelids sticking out? Anyway, he made a movie where a nationwide event happened where under a supermoon, everybody turned into werewolves. Absolutely amazing concept. Absolutely. The world turns into werewolves. Now, they tell you this. They don't show you this in the beginning of the movie because that would have been a cooler movie. They would have, seeing everybody turn into the supermoon the first time and wolf out on everybody and kill everybody, that would have been a great movie. But that's not what they delivered. They delivered, this is the second supermoon. And you're like, okay, this is still cool. In a movie called Werewolves, where everybody in the world almost turns into a werewolf on a supermoon, how many werewolves did you think we saw in this movie? I counted them. 7. 7. In a movie where the world turns into werewolves, 7. 7 werewolves. I'm not going to stay on the movie Werewolves because I hated it. And I hate saying that because I had such a man boner for it. Like, I can't believe this. The world turns into werewolves. This is an awesome concept. I can't wait to see it. But the curse of modern movie making struck. As soon as I saw Frank Grillo, I was like, I'm not going to like this. And I didn't. Stupid reactions, even dumber things. There's only 2 sets. You're either in the city part or in this lab part. That's it. But where is the world turning into werewolves? Like I said, don't introduce a better movie in the beginning of your weak-ass movie. That sucked. I did not like it. But Bad Moon friggin' delivered. So we fast forward to a woman and her son in this place. They're getting things ready. They're, you can see some trauma happen, but we don't know yet what happened. And her son are just getting along. But the star of the movie is the dog Thor, this German Shepherd, this lovable dog Thor who loves protecting his family. And we see that in the first scene where a guy who likes to cause accidents and sue people tries to fall on their property so he can sue them. Then he gets angry because she's a lawyer and she calls him on his bluff. And he comes back and he tries to provoke the dog into attacking him. So then she finds out that the dog didn't bite him and he's messing around again because the guy's an a-hole. So he comes back to poison the dog and the werewolf shows up and kills him. And you're like, so there's another werewolf. This is okay. I'm assuming it's the guy who got attacked in the beginning. And then you find out it's her brother. And she goes out to see her brother, and they're talking about another murder that happened in the woods. And he's good to see her, and he's happy. He's a little bit weird in his relationship with his sister, but Janet. But it's Mariel Hemingway. She's pretty, so I can see, him blurring the lines of brother and sister. No, but she's Mariel Hemingway. They're actors, so I can see that. So he decides he's going to come and stay with them for a while. But Thor, the dog, has a problem. Thor is sniffing around his trailer and he's like, yeah, no. I'm thinking you shouldn't stay here. And he does it by peeing on the guy's trailer. He's staking his mark like, look, this is my people. This is my family. Take your stuff and get the hell out of here. And I love that because Thor is a German Shepherd. He's a pretty big guy. But is he a match for this 8-9 foot tall werewolf? And you can sense a conflict coming because Thor ain't letting up. I love this dog. This dog actor is amazing. I love Thor. He is the main reason why I watched this movie. And I was just like, from the moment I saw him, I was like, please don't let him die. Please don't let him die. Please don't let this baby die. He's so cute. Don't let him die. Yeah, I'm a girl in that movie aspect. And when I saw him, I'm like, yeah, we're not going. So the brother goes for runs every time it's sundown and he doesn't come back till sun up. First night, Thor is like, yeah. He started barking when he saw him leave. He wanted to go out and investigate what was going on, but they pulled him in the house and didn't let it happen. Then when the guy comes back the next day, Thor's sitting in front of his trailer and he's just like, I know what you are. And I'm telling you, you cross that line, I'm going to F you up. No doubts. It's going to be on. It's going to be on. You touch the family, it's going to be on. And then the brother starts looking at the dog like, all right, I need to get him out of here. Like, he's clearly going to be a problem. But if you're hoping to get healed by your sister and your sister's love, why would you take away something that's protecting them? Do you want to hurt your sister? Do you want to hurt your nephew? Like, you start to get establishment that this guy is not a great guy, period. And the sister starts snooping and looking around his trailer, and it leads to a conflict where he was like, I got to get the dog out of here. So what the guy tried to do in the beginning of provoking the dog happens to him, and the dog bites him, and she calls the vet people, and they take the dog away from him, and the dog is screaming because you hear the dog's voice like, I'm trying to protect you. He gonna kill you. He want me out the way so he can kill you. I'm the only thing. And it's a heartbreaking scene when they take Thor away, and the little boy doesn't like it, and the little boy is just like, no, that's my dog. Like, I know there's a reason why he was doing this, and the mom wasn't listening, so the little boy went away. Now, that night, he was going to go out and chain himself to a tree like he does every night. Unfortunately, the sister stopping him kind of interfered with that. He wasn't able to make the chains. He wasn't able to make the time to go out and do there and chain himself up. So now we come to the culmination of a great part of this movie where the shit hits the fan. So the little boy, the son, he's like, nah, that's my dog. He gets on his bike. He takes off Goonie style. He goes to that vet. He hops the fence. He finds Thor. He springs Thor. Now Thor, who loves this boy, knows immediately the boy is not in trouble. Mom is in trouble. I'm going to go to the mom. So the dog sprints out, runs up the boxes, jumps over the fence, starts taking off. And he's haul-assing up the road because he knows the guy is going for the sister. The son is out of danger right now because he's behind Thor. But she is in danger. She finds out what he's doing in the woods, and he can't chain himself. So he wolfs out right in front of her and goes after her, Mariel Hemingway. And she runs back to the house and she's looking for her son. He's gone. He's not there. He sprung Thor. So as she's in the house, he busts through the glass. He's clearly going to take out his sister. And this is when the hero of the movie arrives. This beautiful German Shepherd named Thor. And he dives through the windows, almost reminiscent of Cat's Eye when General came to save Drew Barrymore from the troll. When the cat got taken to the pound and he was going to be put down, and he made his way out and he saved himself and he made it back there to fight the troll over stealing her breath and trying to kill her. This is exactly that great moment, except for it's the dog now. And the dog goes up the stairs and finds her in a room, and he goes at the werewolf. He goes at him, and they're back and forth, boom, 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 boom. And the dog is giving as good as he's getting, and you can hear him squeal, and you feel the pain of this beautiful dog, and you're like, no, don't let him die. Don't let him die. So then the son finally makes it to the house. He has no idea what's going on. Runs up to the stairs, open the door, and the werewolf, that is machinery, grabs this kid by the throat and lifts him up. Now, this scene is very valid. Actually, it's on the cover. Let me show you. All right, that's the scene right there where it grabs the little boy by his throat and lifts him up. Why is this so valid? Because the machine and the puppetry that did this scene for this boy was so realistic and so scary that the kid had to get psychiatry after that scene. The kid was so mentally disturbed by that scene and facing that thing that he needed psychological help. When I heard this, I immediately looked back at the shape of this werewolf, the eyes and the mouth, and there's a scene at the end where he looks at the camera and he growls. I could understand that kid having issues with that, because me as an adult would have issues with something like that grabbing me around my throat. Be pee everywhere. Pee and poop everywhere. Like, I'd probably pass out like, oh God, no. That is terrifying. That this machine was so horrific, it scared a kid into getting psychiatry. This is a movie. But yes, so she says, get the F off of my son, and she fires every shot into him, but it does nothing because you might as well have thrown the bullets at him, because none of them were silver, and you didn't shoot him in the head, you just shot him in the body. It's at this point Thor realizes that he's hurt, but she can't finish him off. And if he doesn't get involved, then his family is going to bite it. So Thor jumps up onto him, knocks him through the window, they tumble down the roof, hit the floor. You know Thor, poor baby, he's really hurt. He's bloody, he's hurt, he's in pain, he's whimpering, but he knows it's not over. So as the werewolf runs off, Thor follows him slowly. Slowly. Not wanting to face him again, but facing him on his territory. So Thor follows him until the sun rises. When the sun rises, Thor catches up with him. He's now a man. He no longer has the advantage. He no longer has the claws. He no longer has the beastly strength. And Thor looks at him. And he's like, I told you. You touch my family, that's your ass. And the guy who is all messed up and bleeding from bites from Thor, he's just as messed up as Thor is. He says, what are you waiting for? Get it over with. And Thor was like, and he tears him a new a-hole. He kills him. Then Thor comes back to the family, and we flash to a scene where he's all bandaged up. They have a little nightmare scene, which I didn't think they needed at that time, with Thor turning into a werewolf. He's a were-dog. I've only seen that in the movie Cursed with Shannon Elizabeth. Did you ever see that movie, Cursed? Jesse Eisenberg? Christina Ricci? No. Anyway, I've only seen that one other movie where the dog becomes a werewolf. That was the movie. Anyway, Cursed is not on my list, not because the werewolf isn't scary, it's because it was satire at a certain point. If the movie would have stuck to the theme it did it was a beautiful, scary werewolf movie. Middle, beginning, but when we got to the end, with her sticking up her middle finger as a werewolf, her fighting because somebody called her a bony ass, like, it became too much satire for me. It went from being a serious werewolf movie to a joke. And I didn't like that. So that's why that didn't make the list. Cursed would have absolutely made my list for acting alone. There's so many scenes that's funny and great in it. Hey, yay, go. If you know the phrase, you know it. There's so many great scenes in it. But when it came down to the end, it couldn't quite finish it. It turned into a satire of itself, a comedy. And I did not like that. I did not like the payoff. If you just skipped that scene and went straight to the guy and Christina Ricci fighting in the kitchen with the brother, I would have loved the movie 100% better. Unfortunately, that one scene where she's fighting them in like the gymnasium or whatever. Like, I can't, I couldn't take it serious. Anyway, this movie ends with Thor and them hugging each other, and it goes away, and this is a great werewolf movie. This is wonderful. It's better than any business having to be, but it is. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you are watching a werewolf movie, or you want to have a horror marathon and you're looking for a good werewolf movie, you cannot do better than Bad Moon. Try to find it, try to stream it. It premiered on HBO. I don't know if it's still on HBO. If you can't, download it, find it digitally, look at Walmart in the DVD bin. Bad Moon is definitely one of the better werewolf movies to come out over the last few decades. Hello, ladies and jelly spoons. Surprisingly, on my list is Ginger Snaps. What were the two peoples and the actresses?
Catherine Isabel as Ginger and Emily Perkins as Bridget.
That was The Nightmare Creature. This is one of her favorite movies. She got me into it. I watched the sequels, but I didn't like them as good as the first movie. First movie really does grow on you. So, ladies and gentlemen, next up on my list of werewolf movies you have to watch, it is Ginger Snaps. And no, not like the cookie. All right, Ginger Snaps. There is love, there is hate, and the community is separated, but you'll find most people more on the positive side of Ginger Snaps. Now, we are not going to talk about the sequels. We're going to stick with the original, because the original subject matter covers it best. During the later years of werewolf movies, where it's big dogs and just horribleness, I give this movie credit for trying to go back into the horrific, tall beast of a werewolf and not just the big dog. The movie is amazing in its premise, and it's very simplistic when it comes to one person's struggle with trying to fit in, over one being cool, one being geeky, but were there sisters in the first one?
They were sisters in all three of them.
Okay. Because I was like, I thought one of them was best friend, but I was thinking
they
were sisters.
All three of them, they were sisters.
Okay, so yeah, they were sisters. So one being cool and popular, one being more of the not in crowd, have their own niche. Yeah, kind of the outcast. Well, the older sister, Ginger, has a tangle with a infected beastie, and she begins to develop traits and things as she's going about her normal teenage life. Now, the crazy part is the little sister, she starts to catch on that something is different about Ginger. And it could be the fact that, I don't know, she's growing a tail. Could be the fact that her hair is changing. Could be the fact that she's literally going off a different aura that she's never had before. And the more she grows into the wolf character and changes, and I like that because they do it over time. It's not one of those things where it's instantaneous and she becomes a werewolf. It's over time. So more and more the beast takes over, less and less it's her sister Ginger. Until the point where something's got to happen and one of them's got to go. The climax of this movie, I think, could have been longer, but I don't know if their budget allowed it. Their budget was on a lot of the creature effects, which were both practical and CG. I did appreciate that. Any movie that still sticks with practical in the new age, I love you for this, because practical is better because actors have something to actually act with. Not just a ball on a stick or a mocap thing. Like, it's actually a thing to interact with, which makes the acting more believable. And when it comes to Ginger Snaps, I will say I wasn't totally sold on the look of the werewolf. It was kind of like a beast, kind of like Harry Potter, what's his name? Lupin, Professor Lupin, when he turned into a werewolf. It's more along of that kind of werewolf. And if you've played, what is the game? The Quarry. It's that type of werewolf. It's that type of werewolf. A little hairless. It's got the snarl of the snout. It's got the teeth. It's a little more skin showing than fur. But at the very end, it's a giant, beastly, hulking wolf thing. And if you're going to tangle with it, you're either going to get infected or you're going to get killed. And the body count on this is, it's pretty significant. I will say it's not as bloody as like something like Underworld, but I will say it's pretty amazing. And I understand for the budget that was on this movie actually made back its budget more than double, which proves that it is more than just an underlying werewolf movie. It holds its place among actual werewolf movies.
It actually became a cult classic over the years.
Yeah, it became a cult classic over the years. And I know you guys, since I said it, are wondering why Underworld is not on this list for two reasons. Number one, it's vampires versus werewolves. I can't put it into a werewolf genre. Though I did love the werewolves in that movie, absolutely amazing. I loved it. I love it, but it's its own separate entity because it's vampires versus werewolves. Like, I know one of the sequels, well, no, because they was all vampires versus werewolves. Anyway, like I said, that's the reason why it's not on my werewolf list. It's not on my vampire list. It'll be on its own separate great horror movie list. How's that? It sounds better? 30 Days a Night was also not on my list. It's a great movie, and I liked it. My problem is the Nosferatu type vampire has been done a bunch of different ways. I did like the ugly looking viscera of the vampires in that movie. And like I said, I will be doing another vampire movie list. It might be on there. It might be on there because the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning towards liking a lot of it. There was a sequel, I think, but I don't know if I really like that. I'm gonna have to go into it with a fresh mind. Anyway, Ginger Snaps. If you're having a party, if you're having a Halloween list and you need horror movies to show and Trick or Treat just ain't quite doing it for you, please jump on Ginger Snaps. It is definitely a good time. It's a little campy, but that's the fun in the movie. And that's why I ended up liking it too. So it ended up being on one of my lists because of the Nightmare Creature and a lot of movies she's got me into. I didn't like it at first. She drugged my hand, helped me into it, and then I'm like, that was actually pretty good. So this is one of the movies that was actually pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the cult classic, Ginger Snaps. So for my last werewolf entry for this video, because I'm probably going to do another werewolf video, my last entry for this video, I guarantee you most of y'all never heard of, most of y'all never knew it existed, and once you know, you can't unknow. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mario Van Peebles stars in Full Eclipse. Now, I could tell you what Full Eclipse is about, and I am going to unpack it for you, but I'm going to do my normal 24K thing. I'm going to show you a trailer for it. Hope I don't get kicked in the giblets for it, and then we'll come back and I'll unpack it for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Full Eclipse trailer.
You're one of the best officers on the force. You're smart, got nerve. Combination we can't afford to lose.
Some cops enforce the law. Some make their own law.
Everybody, Max Dyer.
Hi, Max. Welcome to the cause.
They're an elite squad chosen for their special powers.
You all have one thing in common. You're warriors.
Their ability to adapt.
I say, if we're the law, let's be the law.
Now, hold up. Are we talking like some sort of pseudo Charlie Bronson vigilante shit? We call it justice.
They're an unstoppable force.
I saw Guru and his little team of super cops. And this is gonna sound crazy, but they were on some wild drug. And it had them so pumped up, they looked like monsters.
A dangerous breed.
Join us. Join me. Be part of the pack, Max.
I think I'm gonna have to just say no.
They're out of control
Someone's been bad.
and out for blood. Mario Van Peebles, Patsy Kensit, Bruce Payne, Full Eclipse.
Now, the clip didn't do the movie justice, so I'm going to unpack it for you. So here's the premise. In a town filled with crime, gangs, drugs, literally taking over a city, a special police force captain comes to town with a group of people. He picks certain officers to be elevated to his team, and they go out, they answer to no one, and they solve the crime happening in the city. They take care of everything. Now, this guy, Guru, he goes from city to city, and he leaves the city safer than he's ever been going there, and that's the amazing. He's a super cop. He has this amazing team full of people, so everybody wants to be on board. Enter Mario Van Peebles, who is a great cop who basically just lost his partner during a bad incident that went down with some violent criminals. Guru handpicks him and brings him to his team. He takes him out on a few missions to observe what they do. They operate above the law. Now, the action aspect is absolutely amazing. It's wonderful. It's some X-Men type stuff, and that's amazing. That's what you don't get. So he starts noticing just before they go out and fight crime, they inject themselves with something. He tells them it's a vitamin drug, and they pump up and wolf out. They grow claws like Wolverine, and they're twice as strong. They can jump twice as high. They can run twice as fast. They're almost indestructible. And Mario Van Peebles is not on board with it. So he starts looking into Guru and his team over there, and he figures out that when Guru leaves the city, not one member of his team is left. They all have accidents. So before he becomes the next accident, he digs into it, and he ends up with Patsy Kensit, who is the eye candy of this movie. Patsy Kensit, you've noticed her in Lethal Weapon. When Riggs lost her, she worked for Arjun. She is the eye candy in this movie, along with a few others. But she basically takes a liking to him, and Guru, that's his main side piece. So Guru gets angry that his main side piece is more partial to the Nestle rather than, you know what I'm saying, him. So he ends up angry, and he ends up elevating his plan because the drug dealers in the town start fighting back, and they take it harder to them. And she ends up doping up Mario Van Peebles without his consent, and he wolfs out, turns into one of these things, and he is fighting, and he loves it, but when you come off of it, it's really bad. So he ends up tracking down one of the recent team members, and he realizes what happens when you stop taking this drug. Your body turns very horrible. You start to morph into other things, and you end up horribly disfigured without the injections. So he ends up finding out that Guru is not who he says he is, and that the stuff he's injecting in people is killing them. But by this time, Guru is at the end of his cycle, and it's a full moon. And you kind of thought they were going werewolf, but they were doing like human beastly Wolverine type werewolves. They look like creatures from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But in the end, he tells him, because Mario Van Peebles shoots him with a silver bullet, and he thinks that's the end. And he gets back up and says, ouch, you must have not received my memo. A full eclipse protects me from everything, including silver. And then he says, you want to see something really scary? And he wolfs out into a real werewolf. Not a half thing like they were. He morphs into a real werewolf. Come to find out, he was pulling those injections out of his head from one of his substances that goes on in his head as a werewolf. He pulls it out, he puts it in little syringes, and he was giving it to them. So he was kind of changing them a little bit. So now you have a big werewolf from like The Howling running around fighting Mario Van Peebles, which it's not a win for Mario. Mario somehow gets the upper hand, hooks the guy, they fall off a ship crater container, smacking the ground. He's done, the wolf is done, and he leans over to Mario Van Peebles and says, don't let it end here. Lie down in my blood, take my power. You can do some good. And you're like, So what is he not bad? Is he bad? Like, you don't know. And then Mario Van Peebles, who's been passed over promotions, he doesn't really have the ability to do much. He's been on his blood, so if he goes off of it, he's going to end up horribly disfigured. He lays down in his blood and takes his power. And then he goes to another city. Now he's doing what Guru did, but I guess he's not killing his team members. I guess he's doing it himself. But he becomes the actual wolf. So everybody else he's feeding the hormones to, they only vamp half. They only wolf half. But the real werewolf only shares it with certain people. So Mario Van Peebles' wife was in the kitchen and she cuts herself and he licks her finger and then you see it heal right in front of you. So he gave his wife the goods of what he has. So she's a werewolf. He's a werewolf. I love the ending. The trailer doesn't do it justice. There is so much action and fighting scenes in there. One of my favorite ones is where the guy is running on top of the buses and jumping on cars. His partner back and forth. He's getting shot. He's standing back up and he's taking on these people. There is a lot of action and incitement for this movie. This movie is better than it has any rights being. Full Eclipse is not your average werewolf movie. But I guarantee you, by the end, it becomes a full-fledged werewolf movie. And it's insane because I've never seen anybody come at a premise like this before. It's brilliant. It could do with a remaster or a remake, but absolutely a wonderful movie. Every chance I get, I do watch it. It's a fun watch. It's 80s action, no different from Lethal Weapon. Just picture Lethal Weapon with werewolves. Lethal Weapon with werewolves, and you have Full Eclipse with Mario Van Peebles. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's my list of werewolf movies you have to watch. I'll probably do another list, but I'm just doing this one for today. This is part 2 of the first video that stopped. Sorry, had technical issues, but it's okay. Welcome back to this one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you do one thing this Halloween, sit back, relax with your favorite bag of snacks, and enjoy your favorite Halloween movie. Yes, the latter years have been subsequently horrible when it comes to horror, but you always got old school. Go check out Full Eclipse. I can guarantee you it's probably not streaming anywhere. You would have to download it. You can watch it on YouTube. I own it, but if you can find it, it's damn sure worth to watch. I guarantee you'll be like, how did I miss this movie? Because it got no press. No publicity, but it's one of those movies that is a hidden gem and absolutely amazing. And everybody I show it to friggin' loves the movie. Everybody I show it to. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me here on 24K Movies, TVs, and Video Reviews. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. I'll see you guys next time. We got a lot more coming for Halloween for you guys. We got a lot coming. Stay tuned. We got it coming for you.